Somewhere between the year 1185 and 1573, on the battlefields of feudal Japan, a weapon was born that would outlive every empire that carried it. Not because it was magic, because it was honest steel, folded, hardened, and shaped by hands that understood something most of us have forgotten. Today, that steel doesn't come from a temple forge in Kyoto. It comes from this, a rusted, broken engine gear headed for a scrap pile. We're going to turn it into a katana. Before this blade takes shape, you need to understand what it actually is, because katana isn't really one sword, it's an evolution. During Japan's Kamakura period, samurai rode into battle carrying the tachi, a long, deeply curved blade slung edge down from the waist, built for a mounted warrior swinging from horseback. But war changes weapons. As fighting shifted from horseback to foot, soldiers locked in close, fast combat. A new sword started appearing in the late Kamakura period and came to define the Muromachi era that followed, the Uchigatana. Slightly more intense, this new blade wasn't just shorter or lighter. It was worn differently, thrust through the obi at the waist, edge facing upward. That single change rewrote how a sword could be used. A samurai could draw and cut in one continuous motion. No flipping the blade, no wasted movement. Steel that was sheathed one heartbeat could be tasting blood the next. That draw-and-cut philosophy is still at the heart of Japanese swordsmanship today, and it starts every single time with steel like this. Glowing past 1000 degrees Celsius, this scrap metal stops behaving like junk and starts behaving like clay. Every hammer strike isn't just shaping a blade, it's compressing the grain structure of the steel, forcing out impurities, aligning the metal's internal fibers along the length of what will become the cutting edge. Samurai swordsmiths spent years as apprentices before they were ever allowed to swing this hammer on a customer's blade. The rhythm matters, the angle matters. One careless strike can introduce a flaw that won't show up until the blade is tested and fails.
Now the long, patient grind to find the shape hiding inside the bar. That gentle curve forming along the spine isn't just aesthetic. It's a side effect of the next stage of this build, when differential hardening will pull the spine and edge in two different directions and bend the blade naturally into that iconic katana sweep. Right now, though, it's just grinding. Hour after hour of taking away everything that isn't sword. Precision at the tang. Drilling the tang/nakago holes. This unglamorous little hole matters more than almost anything else on this blade. The tang, the nakago, is what disappears into the handle, and these pinholes are what locks the blade to its grip. Get this wrong, and the most beautifully forged katana in the world becomes a liability the first time it's swung. Every measurement here is deliberate. Nothing on a sword like this is left to chance. The fire that writes the soul. Charcoal forge, blade buried in glowing coals. This is the step that separates a katana from every other sword on earth. Traditional smiths coated the blade in a clay mixture before this final heating, thicker along the spine, thinner along the edge. When the red-hot blade meets the quench, the edge cools fast and hardens to a glass-like sharpness, while the spine cools slower and stays flexible. Two different speeds, two different futures for the same piece of metal. One edge that holds an edge, one spine that doesn't snap. That contrast is also where the wavy Hamann line, the visible boundary between hard and soft steel, comes from. It's not painted on, it's earned in fire. Revealing the edge, hand polishing the blade. After the quench, the blade looks rough, almost disappointing. Polishing is where the sword actually reveals itself. Stone by stone, grit by grit, the dull, scaled surface gives way to the same mirror brilliance that struck fear into enemies 5 centuries ago. The fittinging of a warrior, lathe turning the habaki collar. A katana was never just a blade. It was a complete system, and every piece of that system had a job. This collar, the habaki, does something deceptively simple. It's the precise seal between blade and scabbard, holding the sword secure at rest, yet allowing it to be drawn in a single, silent motion. No rattling, no friction, no hesitation. Exactly what a warrior who might only get one chance to draw his blade would demand. Tsuba shaping, chrysanthemum pattern, black patina. This guard, the tsuba, sits between hand and blade, and in feudal Japan it was never just functional. It was identity. Samurai families commissioned tsuba carved with their own clan symbols, their own philosophies, sometimes even hidden meanings only their closest allies would recognize. A warrior's guard could tell you who he served before he ever spoke a word. That blackened detail settling into the engraving right now is what turns a flat piece of metal into something with depth. Light catching the raised pattern while the grooves stay in shadow. Everything about a katana's handle, the tsuka, exists to do one thing without question. Stay locked in a warrior's grip, even when that grip is slick with sweat, rain, or worse. The wood core being shaped here will eventually carry a wrapped grip, fitted fittings, and the tang itself sealed inside. A structure that's been refined for hundreds of years because the alternative, a sword that slips in your hand mid-swing, simply wasn't survivable. The scabbard, the saya, gets the same obsessive attention. A katana drawn from a saya that doesn't release cleanly is a katana that gets its owner killed. Every piece we've built across this entire process, blade, habaki, tsuba, handle, saya, comes together now into one weapon. This final buffing pass isn't just for looks. A flawless polish lets a smith catch any last imperfection before this blade is called finished. There's nowhere left to hide a mistake. And there it is. A weapon that traces its philosophy back through the Muromachi period, back through the Kamakura warriors who first decided a sword should live at the waist, edge up, ready, not as a threat, but as a promise. One motion, one cut. No second chances needed. That edge isn't for show. This started as a rusted,
Every piece we've built across this entire process, blade, habaki, tsuba, handle, saya, comes together now into one weapon. This final buffing pass isn't just for looks. A flawless polish lets a smith catch any last imperfection before this blade is called finished. There's nowhere left to hide a mistake. And there it is, a weapon that traces its philosophy back through the Muromachi period, back through the Kamakura warriors who first decided a sword should live at the waist, edge up, ready not as a threat but as a promise. One motion, one cut. No second chances needed. That edge isn't for show. This started as a rusted gear nobody wanted. It ends as a blade a samurai would have trusted with his life. If you want to watch the next piece of scrap become the next legend, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you at the next forge.